Okay, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We're going to, seems by popular demand, we will continue from yesterday, a different theme. Today's theme will be interesting, and it's about being a cult. Good theme, chosen by Rādhā Govinda Prabhu. And what we may do that's different from yesterday is we'll see how our interaction goes, and if we're sort of feeling we're running out of steam, then we may stop at 45 minutes, and then we give it to you to continue asking challenging questions. So the debate continues, now you're involved, and then if you ask me, you ask Rādhā Govinda Prabhu, then we both become the good guys. Okay, so I am going to hand it over to you, Mr. Not So Good Guy, and please introduce yourself.
So finally, I'm my original, real Swarupa of another good guy, and I feel so relaxed because I don't need to play any role now. It's absolutely spontaneous. But I'll play the role of a seeker who initially was attracted to Gaudiya Vaishnavism through Śivarāma Swami video vlogs, and being attracted by Śivarāma Swami by his brilliant videos and presentations, I started to associate with ISKCON and with ISKCON's members, and also I involved my close friends. Here is, for example, Nisimha Krishna, Krishna Mala and Keshava Priya, they're from Turkey. We have Manjari and Bhaktipad Goswami. He definitely is not a part of any cult, and he's from Hungary. My wife and me, we are from Romania. So after some years of association with ISKCON, we all became somewhat disappointed. And we are not sure if ISKCON is not really a cult, a Hindu cult, a sect. And since now we met Mr. Śivarāma Swami in person, we would like to discuss some issues and to reveal our doubts and to have an open, sincere and frank discussion. So Maharaj, for the beginning, please prove us that ISKCON is not a cult.
What's a cult?
What's a cult? So, a cult, according to the Wikipedia definition, is cults are social groups which have unusual and often extreme religious, spiritual and philosophical beliefs and rituals. Another characteristics often ascribed to cults is extreme devotion to a particular person, object and goal.
Is that any different than anything that's going on in the world? Of course, you have to define religious, but people have great devotion to rock stars, musicians, scientists, blindly accept anything that they say, even if they went to the moon, and without any real evidence, and they just follow them. They follow them through what you call an educational system, which is really a process of brainwashing everyone to become a consumer and a producer. And if you don't do that, then you really excommunicated from society, then you're a misfit. So what's the difference from what you just said right now? Seems to me like the whole world around us is a cult.
Well, I don't quite agree that you become excommunicated if you're not a follower of some pop star or movie star or things, extremes like that. I mean,
It is. If you don't go to high school, college, if you don't have a degree, you end up a nobody, you're nothing.
yeah,
Success is based on those things.
I agree that there are some problems with that, and especially with the education.
No, there's problems everywhere, and there's problems in ISKCON, like you said. We're in the material world.
But what about still
In your
about...
time in ISKCON, you must have studied the philosophy.
I tried my best and I was quite open about it.
Did you find any problems with the philosophy?
I have some issues about how the philosophy was applied by some...
Start about the philosophy first.
No, the philosophy, I agree. That's why I was attracted, actually. But I have some issues about organized religion. I have some issues about...
I have issues also.
about the history of ISKCON, about even the history of Gaudiya.
But you like the philosophy.
I like the philosophy.
Did you agree that Krishna is God?
Yes, certainly Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, that we agree on that. Okay. And I'm very thankful to you for pointing it out through your video vlogs, to your books, and I really appreciate that. But as I said, I'm a sincere seeker, and I don't want to be just a blind follower, because often I sense that some of your disciples, they're a little bit blind and they're kind of like fanatical, exactly like this description.
All of them like that?
Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, some of them are like that. I agree.
But this kind of extreme devotion to a particular person.
Why are they like that?
Why don't you forbid them to be like that?
No, why are they like that? We agreed that some, whatever that some means, that some are blind followers. Why are they blind followers?
I don't know, but why don't you forbid them to be like that? I never heard even one class when you are forbidding your disciple to be extremists or religious triumphalists.
How many classes did you listen to?
Well, those that are on YouTube.
No, but on YouTube I'm not talking to followers. YouTube I'm talking to the world outside. But I'll tell you why people are blind followers, because they don't study the philosophy, which we agree is perfect. Mm-hmm. And when you don't study the philosophy, then you're walking blind. Shastra Chakshus, eyes are philosophy, are scripture. If you don't know the scripture, then you're blind.
Well, I agree on that point, but I have another question. Working as a communication representative of an NGO in the past, sometimes I was interacting with some representatives of the Ministry of Religions and Cults in Ukraine.
Sounds like a dangerous cult.
Yes, nowadays, let's not talk about politics. Nowadays, it's not a pleasant thing. And I have an acquaintance there, actually is a respected gentleman. He's a dignitary in that ministry. And he once openly told me that he was working for the government, even for the KGB in Soviet times. And he told me that there are 11 criteria which they were using in this Ministry for Cults and Religion, according to which they were detecting which religious society is a cult and which religious society is just an innocent religion. And I would like to present to you those 11 criteria. And maybe according to them, we will detect, is ISKCON a cult or not a cult? And I would like to hear your opinion on that. I have my own opinion on that. My friends also have their opinions, and we would like to discuss with you.
So you want me to listen through the whole 11?
I can read the whole 11 and then we can discuss each one of them.
Okay.
So the first one is, I believe in the doomsday. Then the second one, religious triumphalism, the belief that the members of that respective cult are the best, purest, chosen people, the only saviors of the world. The third one, authoritarian leadership without accountability. Fourth one, child abuse. The fifth one, unreasonable fears about outside world. The sixth one, a lack of integrity and work ethics in the cult's members. Sixth one, belief that former followers are always wrong for living and there is never a legitimate reason for anyone else to live. Seventh, followers feeling they are never able to be good enough or advanced enough. Eight, believe that the leader is right at all times. Ninth, a belief that the leader is the exclusive means of knowing truth or giving validation. Tenth, a leader who exerted an excessive and dangerous amount of control over their followers that resulted in death. 11, treating women, lesbians, or gays as inferior, untouchables, and depriving them of equal rights.
Gays is spelled with an A.
I'm Romanian, Maharaj, so please don't attack me as a person. Let's start with the belief in the doomsday. I heard even in your classes about that, well, how many thousand years, 40,000 or 400,000 years from now, the Kali Yuga will end and then some Kalki avatar will come. But even if you or other senior gurus in ISKCON are not speaking about that doomsday, sometimes you are speaking about the atomic bomb, sometimes about atomic war, and you are scaring your followers like anything that they should work on the land, they should now be all together against the government who is buying all the grains, and we will doomsday. Anyway, I don't want to speak any other details.
Are you speaking about this 400,000 years now, or just anything that's around the corner?
I am speaking about the concept that a sect, a cult, usually is scaring their followers by the idea that there will be a doomsday, and therefore you have to remain and we will save you.
Well, I don't think you'll ever find the word doomsday in either our use of words or in scripture. Rather, as you know, our philosophy believes that the movement of time is cyclic, not linear, which means that the world goes through different cycles, and the end of Kali Yuga is going to be followed then again by Satya Yuga, or a very positive age. That's just part of the scriptures which you agreed with. And as far as, well, was there a Second World War?
No.
There wasn't a Second World War?
A second, yes, not the third one.
Was there a First World War?
Yes.
Were there wars before that?
Yes.
Were there wars all during that period?
Yes.
Is there is there a war just around the corner over here?
Unfortunately, yes.
So, isn't it, it's not particularly just our belief, but as far as I know, you have the Department of Defense in most countries which are very concerned about a possible Third World War, and they make preparations for it. Does that make the governments a cult?
No, they make preparations, but they don't scare their followers. I mean, the citizens. They are kind of like presenting in a positive way, in a optimistic way that we may avoid it. But in ISKCON, often I heard that definitely it will be a war. Definitely we have to have even arms, and we have to...
Why would there be a war? Did someone say why there would be a war? Because people are so sinful, the philosophy that you agree with, that the world that we live in, abortions practically didn't exist before the Second World War. Animal slaughter, the type of violence that people exert on each other, and all of these things, that accumulates. And somehow or another, there has to be a reaction. There's an action and opposite reaction. So that was Mr. Newton who proposed that. So with all that sinful activity, there has to be some kind of reaction, and that's why I said Second World War, First World War, so many wars, Boer War, all over the world, you've got all kinds of reactions taking place. And considering that we're living in a world where people are more sinful than ever before, then you should be intelligent to expect that something's going to be coming around the corner. And if you're smart enough, you can be either a cricket or a grasshopper. But if you're smart enough, then you prepare instead of just fiddling away.
Okay, sounds nice, sounds reasonable. I'll think about.
Okay, thank you.
Let's discuss the second one. Religious triumphalism.
Religious?
Triumphalism.
Triumphalism.
Triumphalism. I'm sorry for my thick Romanian accent.
Fine.
So, the belief that the members of that respective cult are the best, purest, chosen people, the only saviors of the world. And that I heard a lot, that we are the devotees in Lord Chaitanya's movement. We will save the world, Lord Chaitanya is saving the world. We are the path that is giving to people the real thing, the real religion, Sanatana Dharma. And sometimes the members, maybe even not just sometimes, but quite often the members, they look down to the members of other religions who technically are saying the same thing.
Yes, aren't they? Isn't Judaism saying they're the chosen ones?
I don't want to say anything publicly about that.
Well, it is public. They say it.
You said that.
They say it publicly. It's not a secret. And doesn't Islam say that they're the only way? And don't Christians quote Jesus Christ, I'm the way, the truth, and the light. No one can come through the Father but through me.
Yeah, Maharaj, that's exactly the point.
Yeah, but does that make them a cult?
In some corners, yes, but that's exactly the point.
But it doesn't make them a cult. Their religions, supported by governments all over the world, don't seem to have any problem with that.
Yeah, but that's exactly why I was attracted by your video vlogs, because you're not fanatical in your presentations. And then you attracted me, I was really inspired, and then when I tried to become a member, after being attracted by those outreach, very beautiful presentations, then suddenly I woke up in a cult that is telling me that I'm the best just because I'm wearing these 3 straws of malas and I have this
It's not that
sign.
you're the best, it's just because of a kanti mala. But nastieva, nastieva, nastieva. Our scriptures point out that the best process is chanting the names of God. Now, that's not exclusive to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Any religion can chant the names of God, but that is the best process, and that is what is going to save mankind if people start chanting the names of God, which unfortunately they don't do. Whether they chant Allah or Jehovah or Jesus Christ, doesn't matter. But that's the principle, and that's a universal principle. It doesn't just hold for us.
Yes, I understand, but still this attitude towards the so-called Mlechas, non-Aryans, Kirata, Hundara, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Bira, Shumbaya, Vanaka, Sada, and so on. So you have the whole list of people who don't belong to the culture, to the philosophy, and they are looked upon like, second-class people, untouchables. Even the word mlechka means the one who is not speaking Sanskrit.
It's a description based on the level of people's consciousness. It's a certain terminology, and according to a person's consciousness, then they may be considered first class, second class, third class, fourth class. And according to also, of course, consciousness will determine how they behave, how they live in the world. For instance, we consider someone who is eating meat to be of a lower consciousness. Therefore, the idea is unless you accept that something is not good, then they can't come up to something that is good. So it's a categorization. Those categories are there under different names and so on in so many cultures. I don't think that just because it's a Vedic culture, but still the verse that you quote, Yaine chapapa yadapashraya shraya shudanti tasmai prabhu Vaiṣṇava, that even if all of these exist, simply by the association of those who chant the names of God, then all of these people become purified. That's the whole point of that verse. The point of the verse is not to establish categories. The point is that everyone can become an Aryan.
Yeah, but the actual translation is those who accept shelter of a Vaiṣṇava, not of one who is chanting the holy names.
Yes, but if you take shelter of Vaiṣṇava, then you'll chant the holy names because that's what he's going to tell you to do.
Yeah, I accept that, but again, sometimes the followers, they're saying, I'm a Vaiṣṇava, you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're untouchable. Anyway, I understood your logic. Maybe my friends, they want to clarify something. If you have anything to ask, then please. If not, we can go on.
Go ahead, let's go through and then they can take their notes and come in at the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the third one, authoritarian leadership without accountability. I'm not involved so much in ISKCON management.
Then how do you know there's no accountability?
I have a friend, his name is Rādhā Govinda, who is involved in management a lot.
I hear that he's just all alone in some city and there's nobody over him and he just, whatever he does, everybody follows.
But he was involved before, he was not alone in one city.
Yeah, but then he left there just in order to be able to be an authoritarian leader.
Actually, he is a quite nice guy. He's trying to correct all those mistakes that he saw in other parts. He's trying to be very liberal and very open-minded and very friendly with the people, and he's actually very, very democratic in his approach.
Okay, anyway, but aside from what your friend tells you, then you're saying that you don't have, that ISKCON doesn't have accountability?
No, I'm not saying that the whole ISKCON, but in some parts of the ISKCON, for example, even when I was traveling with him, with Rādhā Govinda, I saw some traces, I saw some signs that those persons are like, I'm the boss here, you have to listen to me because I know the philosophy, I'm a Vaiṣṇava, I'm a senior Vaiṣṇava.
You have the president of the most powerful country in the world, at least for the time being, and he does whatever he wants. He's unaccountable to anybody. He's turning a democracy into a fascist state. It can happen anywhere. In fact, it is happening.
Yes, but the chance is that after 3.5 years, he will not be the president anymore. So there's the difference between a democracy and ISKCON, because ISKCON is not democratic.
In the meantime, he's just destroying so many people's lives. He may get voted out in the future, but the damage is done. So for the time being, it's a cult anyway.
Yeah.
And then when they vote in someone else, there's a good chance that he may just
I would like to visit America soon, so I'm not going into that direction now. I don't want to speak about that. Let's go back.
In any case, we have a very accountable system. We have a hierarchy, which is really standard in any structure, whether it's industry, military, politics. There's always an authority. He has an authority. He has an authority. Even your Rādhā Govinda friend has an authority. I hear he's called Rādhā Krishna. And Rādhā Krishna also has an authority, which is actually the overall governing leadership of the society, made of 35 people. So no one is. Who's unaccountable?
Yeah, but I saw a tendency that when they remain a leader for the whole of their lives, after 4 or 5 years, they got worn out, psychologically unstable, and they are just a kind of like, I'm doing my job, leave my way. They are not creative, they are not inspired anymore. Otherwise, if they'll be chosen for 4 or 5 years as leaders...
There's plenty of examples in ISKCON where leaders who really lose their actual fidelity to the founder Acharya, that they're then removed. I mean, it's unfortunately quite a long list. So, I mean, that's accountability. It isn't that someone's there for life regardless of what they do. They're there for life provided that they follow the constitution of the movement.
So you have a constitution in ISKCON?
Yeah. We have constitution, we have articles of memorandum, they have regular meetings, the leadership twice a year, what to speak of continental meetings, and at those times issues and things come up.
And for example, there is...
I know that. Things used to come up about me regularly. But I used to get corrected that I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that.
Okay, but for example, let's take...
But that's accountability.
Yeah, but...
I'm telling you because I was part of it for 40 years.
I believe you. I believe you. But, for example, there's a member of ISKCON who was abused by a leader. Who has been abused by a leader, for example. What can he legally do in order to... how to say, to protect his rights as a member of the society and to have justice?
We have, for instance, a Ministry of Women's Rights. We have a society, or we have a committee that deals with leadership, with gurus. This is just actually to supervise and to deal with people's complaints. And as I mentioned, ultimately, I mean, legally is one thing. Legally, he can just go to court. But the other thing is that he has the opportunity, or she has the opportunity, to appeal. It doesn't mean that it doesn't become, that there's no abuse in ISKCON, there's no misuse of authority. But I just pointed out 380 million people are being directed down the drain just by one person because he's abusing the very constitution of the youngest democratic country in the world. So it happens, and what can you do? There's no perfect system, like you say, of actually the application of the philosophy. And actually, ISKCON is not really necessarily the application of philosophy, but it's how do you organize and manage a religious organization, especially a voluntary one. So yeah, there's going to be shortcomings, but shortcomings don't make a cult. That's my point. And none of these things that you brought up actually make a cult, or as I said in the very beginning, or if they do, then you may as well say that every institution in this world is a cult.
Yeah, but I want to join ISKCON, and that's my concern about ISKCON. Other institutions, I'm quite disappointed in them too. So now, being attracted by your presentation, I wanted to come to a place which is free of those material imperfections, because you pretend to be a bona fide spiritual organization.
On the light. You can go. You can come to our place in Hungary. You're welcome there. Or I hear there's a new spot open in Romania, in Bucharest. You can take that one, but that's not going to be a guarantee that nothing's going to happen for the upcoming decades, centuries, and so on. There's always a possibility of such things taking place. So you always have the possibility of a Holocaust. Is it never going to happen again? You have no guarantee. You are in the material world. And as long as you're dealing with conditioned souls, that becomes a problem. So the real issue is that as long as there are living entities who are under the three modes of material nature, who have the four defects of conditioned souls, then there's always the chance of being misled.
Yeah, it's interesting that from one side you can hear that we will save the world. From another side, in the same classes, you are hearing that, well, it happens, we are in the material world.
Yes, yes. But if you strictly follow, then you will save the world. Because if you follow the perfect person, Krishna is the perfect person, so if you perfectly follow the perfect person, then even though you're not perfect, you're perfect.
It's always this achintya, what is it? Bheda, I know.
So, well, it's not so achintya and it's not so bheda. It just means that people have to learn how to follow. And the problem is that in the world we live in, the tendency is there to deviate. And it's there everywhere. Why do we have so many juvenile delinquents? Why don't children follow their parents?
Okay, thank you, Swami. Let's speak about the fourth one.
Fourth one?
Yes.
Which is?
Child abuse.
That's the fourth one?
Yeah.
That's the 10th one, isn't it?
No, the fourth one. The 10th one. The fourth one, yeah. I don't want to join a sangha, a organization which even lost some court case, millions of dollars for this horrible thing.
Me neither. Fortunately, it takes place. It's part of the abuse, as you're pointing out, abuse of women, the misuse of power, and the misuse of power in this case against most innocent living entities, which are, or humans, which is children. But, you know, I won't get into it, but my understanding is that the educational system in the world that we live in is similarly abuse, child abuse. A different type of child abuse, but you're abusing children. So the educational system, which is compulsory, is abusing millions and billions of children by telling them that the whole world came out of nothing, that your great-great-grandfather was a monkey, and that this is brainwashing is because you can see it, they accept it. They accept it because they're never taught to think. They just accept to blindly follow. So we blindly follow all of these things that even though my parents and grandparents and so on are not happy following a materialistic way of life, but I will become happy, I know better. But they're not happy. they got to go to psychiatrists, they have to take sleeping pills, they're constantly in anxiety over so many issues, so they're not happy, but yet they're still looking for happiness, but they're just looking for it in the wrong place.
Okay, I understand.
So yes, child abuse is horrible. Child abusers should be, I don't know, should be killed.
What is the guarantee that nowadays, if I'll bring my kid to ISKCON, it will not be abused? What has been done regarding that by your organization, so that I understand that it's not a cult anymore?
Well, there's no guarantee for anything. There's no guarantee that Frankenstein doesn't exist. So there's always the possibility of everything. But for instance, the 98% of the abuse took place in what we call the ashram, as opposed to the classroom. So one thing is that currently, until we have a better structure system, there are no ashrams that I know of anywhere in ISKCON. It is just parents drop off their children in school in the classroom, and they pick them up again. Nothing. Parents, the teachers are not meant to be alone with children. There's always supposed to be 2 adults as opposed to just one with any number of children. So there's a whole series of legally acceptable standards that ISKCON is instituting. In fact, other organizations who are concerned about cults, anti-cult movements, they very much appreciate that ISKCON is quite proactive in this regard. At the same time, there's no guarantee that it's never going to happen.
Swamiji, can I ask you a personal question? What you personally did in order to correct that situation and to make safe for the future generations of the children in your movement?
I didn't allow either, for instance, in Hungary or then earlier on in London to open ashrams. There was just classroom education, and it really reduces. Of course, it depends on what you call abuse. Are we talking about sexual abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and so on? But it really reduces the opportunity of that. But you can ask the same thing from the Ministry of Education of any country. What are they doing to stop abusing children in their schools? And now I'm talking about abusing them by, as I mentioned before, brainwashing them with things that don't exist. Like something coming from nothing. It's a very, if you get people accepting that something comes from nothing, or that this whole world comes from an explosion, you've got a lot of sick people around the world. Because it's not something that happens in reality. There's no evidence for it. And yet at the same time, if you can get people to believe that, then ultimately you can get them to believe anything. And if you can accept that your great-grandfather was an ape, then people will accept anything. And that's exactly what these are. These are litmus tests of just exactly how badly abused children, and then as they grow up, adults are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been to school, I felt it, I agree with it.
Yeah. So it's a cult. It's a destructive cult. And it's destroying people's opportunity to understand who they are. One school in the world, just one, who starts off teaching their children who you are. Is there?
No.
No. But isn't it relevant?
It
But
is.
why don't we do that? It's not a secret. They don't do it because they don't want people to know who they are.
And that's exactly what I want to,
Yes.
to speak about. It's the second one.
Okay, but are you worried about this big cult all around us,
I am.
which we're actually living in?
I am. Therefore, I want to join ISKCON, but I'm not sure that...
Okay, but in the meantime, you're living in that one. And have you got a job?
No.
You mean you're bum?
I'm preparing to become a Hare Krishna.
Oh, I thought you were preparing to become a professor.
Yes.
We had a
Preacher. I want to save the world.
Teacher. And you know what Prabhupada says, teacher means cheater.
Yeah. But the fifth one is unreasonable fears about the outside
But you know how
world.
deep that brainwashing is?
You are coming again and again to that point. I accepted
I'm
it.
coming. No, I just want to give you an example. We've got all of these people sitting over here. They've heard this many times. 99% of them don't believe it. And they'll send their children to get abused in education, and they'll do it themselves, despite the fact that they're Hare Krishnas, that they're chanting. They will still send their children to what Prabhupada called the slaughterhouse. That's how deep that education is.
That's exactly what I'm afraid of when you are using these strong examples, strong words like slaughterhouse of education and so on. And
No,
that's
wait,
exactly
it's not a strong word. It's a fact. This slaughter is where you cut, where you destroy someone's opportunity for life.
Can we go directly then to the ninth one?
Which is?
I believe that the leader is the exclusive means of knowing truth or giving validation. That's exactly what we are doing now.
Which leader?
You are a leader of Hare Krishna movement.
No, but who's the leader?
You are the leader of a movement.
No, Krishna's the leader. Krishna's the original leader.
But I don't hear Krishna, I hear your strong words.
No, Krishna uses pretty strong words. Namandusmitino mudha.
But he has the right.
Yeah, so I didn't use those words. That was my spiritual master who used those words. So I'm just repeating what he's saying. So as long as I'm repeating what he's saying, I have the right. If I make things up, that's a different story. But if I'm repeating what the perfect person said, then I'm also following along the path of being perfect, although I may not be perfect. And if people follow what I say, they may also, the risk is that I make something up or that I deviate from that path.
Isn't it true that the saintly persons, they should not look down upon others and use such strong words like mudas and fools, rascals, swine?
They shouldn't unless it's true. But when it's true, you have to call a spade a spade.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a fact. We shouldn't unnecessarily badmouth people or categorize them into some lower category. But when they are, then you have to accept that that's actually the fact. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm. In some totalitarian countries, the leaders...
You mean like this one?
No, I respect this country very much, but I don't know the politics. I came just to associate with some of my friends here. But in some countries where the leadership is very totalitarian, they usually unite the citizens of that country with the idea that there is an enemy nearby. And we have to counteract, we have to survive somehow. And it's very easy to keep the country mobilized when you create this image of an enemy nearby. And the fifth one is unreasonable fears about the outside world. And in my perception, it's something very similar, that you just remain the members of our cult because outside there is Maya, it will attack you, it will devour you, this black snake of the samsara, of the cycle of birth and death. So therefore you should remain in our society and then you'll be safe from Maya, isn't it?
I mean, for instance, here, you've got everybody here is living and working in the world outside. The problem is not people. The problem is what's called the material energy, which people tend to embrace. And that then becomes, call it your enemy. We consider it to be also Mama Maya Durataya. Krishna says it's my energy, it's my potency, but it's a fact that this material potency is what distracts living entities or gives them the illusion that they can be independent of God. So it's not the people who are the problem, it's the fact that the people succumb to the influence of the false ego, of their tendency of this material energy to bring somebody down or distract somebody and take somebody, Krishna Bahir Mukta Hona Bhogavanchakari, to turn away from God. And that's the energy, or that's the thing that we need to fear. You have, I mean, I'm just giving, not talking about anything wrong about education. In education, you have an enemy. What's the enemy? Ignorance. And that's true, except for the fact that it's the wrong ignorance that they're worried about. In other words, that you don't know how to split an atom, and therefore we have to do it. But there's always some reason why you have to do something. And there's two reasons. One is a positive and one is a negative. So there's also a negative. The positive in Krishna consciousness is to come closer to Krishna, and the negative is that so that we are protected from the influence of this Mama Maya Durataya. This Krishna says Durataya is very difficult to overcome the influence of this material energy. Lust, anger, greed, all of these things, which are really being promoted very vociferously in the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Can I ask also some additional question regarding that? Do the members of ISKCON have the right to vote?
To vote for?
At the elections, or?
It's not our culture system to vote. Our culture is generally a top-down system in which authority is established by a higher authority. But when they establish a temple president or a GBC...
I'm speaking about, for example, there will be some presidential election in the country. Can they vote? Can they go to vote?
Sure, why not?
Mm-hmm. So they're not antisocial.
I wouldn't say they're not antisocial, but they can vote.
Well, so
we are a society. We're against badly organized societies. We're against societies that are not designed, samsiddhi haritoshanam, to please God, but to please your senses, to establish sense gratification as the ultimate measure of happiness. That's the societies that we don't approve of.
So I'll still have the right to go and to vote and to be socially active if I'll become a member of ISKCON.
Socially active means what?
I mean, I can be engaged in some welfare activities when the need will be there. I can vote, I can be a normal citizen.
There's no such thing as a normal citizen.
Yeah, you always...
Everybody is abnormal.
You always are attacking my words, but...
Normal is when you're a pure devotee, then you're normal.
When you're a Hare Krishna, then you're a normal.
You can be a pure devotee in any religion, but when you're a pure devotee of God, then you're normal.
Okay, I got it. Let's go to the sixth one. Can we cover all of them, maybe shortly, but all of them, Maharaj?
Right.
Okay, then the sixth one is a lack of integrity and work ethics in the cult's members. Rādhā Govinda told me that he knew some persons who were stealing from the donation boxes put at the entry of their works, at their offices. And
offices?
There were some people who were working in some offices, some buildings, and they had a donation box put in the front so that the workers can leave some donations, and those donations were supposed to be used to heal cancer or to donate for the children and things like that.
But this is not ISKCON.
Not ISKCON, but ISKCON members. One ISKCON member was caught stealing from that donation box. So at least that's one case that I've been told about a lack of integrity and work ethics.
So?
And what's your approach on that?
Everybody gets a reaction for their activity. Person should be punished for stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's obvious, and I'm happy to hear that, but I just wanted to hear it again. And what about being late at the work? And the justification is that why you are late, and the answer is often from the part of devotees that I was doing my rounds. Or why you missed the work, why for 3 days you did not come for the work. And the argument is that because I took part in the Vyasa Puja of my spiritual master. Do you have any problems with that?
It is a problem, and that there is a lack of work ethic.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily originate in ISKCON, but rather this is something that's already going on in the world around us. I have so much contact with some of our devotee members who are businessmen and so on, and they can't find any workers. They can't find young people nowadays in the world who are actually even interested in working. They're interested in getting paid, but they don't want to work, or at least they're doing as little as possible, and what they do is necessarily quality. So yes, the problem is that this is the material that we have to work with, and then it comes into Krishna consciousness. Yes, work ethic. I have, we have jewelry made for our deities, and it's not possible to find jewelers anymore who actually make really fine quality small things, because no jeweler's interested in that. All they want to do is just pour some gold or silver into a mold and sell it, because it's fast, it's cheap, and you get much greater profit. So yes, we're living in a world where work ethic is going out the window. Hopefully we can establish that. But keep in mind that we're a relatively young society. So we haven't even reached 70 or 60 years. And it takes time to really put all of the pieces of what it takes for something to actually be a society. For instance, we don't even have our social structure. We know what it is, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam, but we don't as yet have a social structure where rights and obligations are based upon people's nature and their abilities. So it takes time, and therefore you're going to encounter a lot of problems. But anyway, you should just come back and help get things properly established. You have the observation, you're very observant, Now what are you going to do to correct it? I see all the things that you see, but I didn't leave.
Yeah, I have some trust in you, therefore I'm still in the process of thinking what I'm getting involved into.
Yeah.
Well, the sixth one. Believe that former followers are always wrong for living and there is never a legitimate reason for anyone else to live. So, for example, when a devotee is leaving the society of devotees, devotees often are blaming him or her for his mistakes, for, what is that word? Aparadhas, offenses. So that's because of aparadhas. That's also because of sexual desires that he lived. And never we are saying that, well, we could not took care about him or about her. We did not provide some shelter. We did some mistakes as the leaders of society, but he fell in Maya, so he's to be blamed.
It's a problem.
What do you do to solve it?
There are very valid reasons why people left, aside from being aparadhis and so on. But still, they shouldn't have left, despite the fact that they had valid reasons. I have lots of valid reasons, but I'm still here.
But if, for example, they were abused or they were suffering and they could see that really the management was crazy or there were some obvious things, why remain and destroy your psyche?
It's a big society. You can go anywhere in the world. If one is not good in this city, you can always go somewhere else.
Isn't it called Easy Journey to Other Temples?
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. But yes, unfortunately that is the case. That doesn't mean that everybody who leaves. So, you know, Srila Prabhupada himself said, don't be surprised by who leaves, just be surprised by who stays. And Krishna also gives us, yesterday I was talking to a professor, that it's, you know, 1 out of 10,000 of the people outside, or you can say 1% of those who actually come will be able to see it through for their whole lifetime. But they made a start, and they'll continue. In fact, this is one of the first things that you find in the Bhagavatam that Narada Muni says. What does he say? Mukunda Sevyamgatam Saran Mukundangri, and so on. So he says, even if someone falls down, so Narada Muni himself is saying, even if someone comes down in an immature situation, he falls down or he leaves, still the benefit he's gotten is eternal, it's never lost. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna continues that he'll continue in his next life. But that reason may be valid to leave, and it may be invalid. But Srila Prabhupada said, never leave. So he said, if there's problems, then you stay and you reform. You be part of the reformation. Yes.
But that's exactly one of the arguments from the people from the anti-cult movement, which are saying that the cults, that's exactly their arguments, that never mind what happens, you should remain.
So what? Big deal. I mean, you know, what do? You don't like your teacher in school, so therefore you should drop out of school. Then the argument is you just stay in school. You don't like your father, then you leave home. No, you stay in your family. I mean, everybody wants to, if they're offering something, and if they consider that what they're offering is substantial, then they will say, don't leave to something else which compromises what we started off in the beginning, is this both perfect philosophy and perfect way of life. Because it is more dangerous, and now we discussed this also, that the world we're living in is also a cult. So what does it mean to leave ISKCON? It means just leave the association of devotees. Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that if someone can't work within ISKCON, that's all right. Then you just stay in the association of your spiritual master. You don't have to be part of the institution. But you don't leave Krishna consciousness. So they're two different things. They should be all one, but they can be two different things.
Thank you. I'm happy that I have the option to leave one community to go to another community if something I see that something is wrong.
I told you, come to where we are.
The problem is that usually Rādhā Govinda cannot have accommodation when he's coming to New Vrajadam.
But that's only because he comes just in festival times when everything is, and he doesn't book early enough.
He does.
Because he's sort of a leader, and he figures that I should be able to come anytime. I don't have to follow the rules, and I just walk in, and they roll out the red carpet. And I'm just joking.
They cancel my bookings.
Did you book for next year?
Arjuna, did you?
You see? You're just passing it on to somebody else.
I have to delegate, Maharaj. You told me that. Anyway, back to the role. So, followers feeling they are never able to be good enough. I felt sometimes that devotees are always complaining that I'm not yet a pure devotee, I'm not yet at the Shuddhanam stage, I'm very fallen, especially this phrase that I'm very fallen, Prabhu, I'm very fallen. You try just normally to speak that, you sang Harinarayana, you're singing so nicely, the kirtans, and he's saying, no, I'm so fallen, I don't know how to sing, And this is really perplexing because why you can't just have a normal reaction that, yes, I'm singing nicely, yes, I'm speaking nicely. So, but this, I'm not good enough yet.
I mean, one aspect is humility, which is certainly a quality that people need to cultivate. The other is that when people want to achieve a goal, if they haven't achieved the goal, but they think that, I'm okay, then how are you going to get to your goal? So you always have to see that there's a dimension that you have not yet reached. So you're lacking in that, and therefore you have to keep going forward. You're driving a car, you're going to a destination. If, you're halfway there and you think, I'm okay, what do? You just, stop and sit in your car? No, you just keep going because you're not satisfied, because you're not there where you want to go, because that's your destination. So until you reach your destination, and there will be certain stages, but still, devotees should also recognize, and they do, that at the same time, I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity, Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagavan Jeev. It's very, Lord Chaitanya says, Bhagavan. So very fortunate, someone has very fortunate that they've come to Krishna consciousness, and that's beyond being good. That's a great, good fortune. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're a cult. So, I mean, there's better reasons for this to be a cult. But you'll find some people who will be sort of excessive in that regard, which is called sometimes false humility.
What is the concept of self-care and self-love in the Hare Krishna community?
Did you ever hear of this phrase, self-love, before 10 years?
Not much.
Well, not,
It's a recent
not
one.
at all. Where does it come from? Who made it up?
I know one spiritual master in your society who is giving courses on that. So I'm using your term. It's not
my term. It's his term, not my term.
Yeah, but I heard it
Where
in
in
ISKCON.
where in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna talk about self-love?
He is quoting verses, interpreting that those verses are speaking about self-care and self-love.
He may quote them. I don't know of any verses that talk about self-love, but at the same time, we should recognize who we are. We should know who we are, and we should know that our business primarily is loving God. And when you love God, then everybody else is included, including you. So in that sense, there's such a thing as self-love. Otherwise, you're going to get into, what is this all about? Anyway, I don't listen to this person's courses. I already disagreed with some of the other philosophical points.
Yeah, but he's presenting it as the opposite of not being good enough. So because devotees, they get into this extreme, I'm not good enough, and so he's arguing that you are good enough.
You're good enough to go back home, back to Godhead. On what basis? Because that is Lord Chaitanya's tapi, he's accepting everyone and is giving everyone the opportunity. So yeah, we're good enough. We're good enough because we're spirit souls, mamai vangsa, jiva loka, jiva bhuta, sanatana, and we're part and parcel of God. But we forgot, and therefore we have to remember that. The self-love is not part and parcel of our teachings or philosophy. Not something, phrase that Prabhupada ever used.
Mm-hmm.
Then why get into there's so many other things that we can do courses on. Why do courses on things Prabhupada never said?
Okay. The 8th one, believe that the leader is right at all times.
No, that's not true. The leader's not right. The leader is right when he's following the supreme right. But if he's not following, then he's not right.
What is the way to contradict a leader when a leader is making a point and logically, on the level of just ethics, reason, you understand that he is not right? What is the right way to contradict him?
In a polite way. You can contradict your leader. I mean...
And it will not be an offense or disobedience?
It depends on circumstance. I mean, you know, you're in the army. You're in the middle of a battle. And your, I don't know, general tells you, go this way. And he's making a mistake. Now, in the army, if you decide to go this way, you're going to get court-martialed, and if you're lucky, you'll end up in jail, but you may end up getting shot. So here we have a simple example that leaders, even when they're wrong, are meant to be followed, because the principle of not following a leader or just examining everything that a leader does is more dangerous than being misled by a leader. Because there's no such thing as leadership anymore. If everything a leader says, now I have to study under a microscope, I'll come back tomorrow and let you know if I'm going to do that. Go wash the pots. Oh, I don't know, this may be a plot or something, so let me go check and I'll let you know.
But did leaders make mistakes in the past?
Sure.
And what is the guarantee that now he's not making a mistake when?
No, you guarantee that they are going to make mistakes.
But if he's, for example, proposing something that I really can feel that it's a mistake and I'm still following, do I incur some reactions, some karma, some offenses because of that?
Depends what, but generally you could just say no. I mean, you have leaders, and then there are also leaders who are subordinate to him, to whom they're talked to. For instance, in a temple, you have a temple council who are supposed to be meeting on a regular basis and communicating and discussing whether something was a right decision or a wrong decision. But in any case, you follow. You're accepting a leader who tells you that everything comes from nothing. So you're still accepting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the ninth one is similar with the eighth one. He believed that the leader is the exclusive means of knowing truth or giving validation. So it's...
The leader is?
Leader is the exclusive means of knowing the truth or giving validation.
Well, he's following. It's not exclusive because it's right there in Shastra. He's repeating Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is accessible to everybody, and he teaches and shows how to follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita. But we're talking about leadership. Leadership is there everywhere, in everything. And what you're talking about is not exclusive to Krishna consciousness. It's exclusive to any structure in anything. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I was just reading an article in BBC. One of the main skyscrapers in America was sort of built in a unique way, and the student who was studying it for his thesis realized that actually that building could collapse if there was a wind of more than like 80 miles an hour. And they went and told the construction company, and you know, they didn't want to cause panic, so they didn't tell anybody. They just sort of secretly started to do things. So my point is that people do things, build things, achieve things on the basis of leadership. There's leadership everywhere. And the fact that leaders are accountable or not accountable, that they make mistakes or don't make mistakes, this is not unique to Krishna consciousness. My point is, what you're raising is not an issue of cults. In fact, most of the points you raised have got nothing to do just with cults. They have to do with every structured, organized system.
This is at least the list that the anti-cultists are giving in order to check a organization and to see if it goes into those parameters as a cult or not. So therefore,
did anybody check the anti-cult to see if they're a cult or not?
They are definitely a sect or a cult for sure, because that means they're using.
So they're a cult. So therefore, you're just labeling something a cult.
Yeah, I'm a seeker. I just want to understand, and I'm very open, and I agree with many points that you are making.
So it's just like if I say you're crazy, that's it. Then you got nothing to say anymore once I say that someone's crazy. So you label somebody a cult, and they got nothing to do. They got no way of defense because you've been labeled in that way. So no, we're not a cult, and there are organizations that mislead their followers. There are countries that mislead their followers. What to do?
Mm-hmm. The 10th one is a leader who exerted an excessive and dangerous amount of control over their followers that resulted in death. So usually a cult has a central personality, central, like a leader, spiritual authority. Everything is revolving around him. And this is a really very important element of detecting a cult, is that everyone blindly follows. And we know in the past there were cases when, because the leader said that now we have to make suicide, the whole community made suicide and so on. So I did not see such things in ISKCON, but still I'm a kind of like scared when every morning I see that you're worshipping Swami Prabhupada, everybody is bowing down before him, offering garlands, and he's the supreme authority, and it looks like cultish to a person who is coming from the normal society.
You're just using this label. It looks cultish. It's not cultish. It's the principle of following. And we want to teach people that if someone is spiritually advanced, if someone is senior, if someone is giving something, you should learn how to bow down, and you should learn how to worship a person. Who's the ultimate worshipable person? God. And if someone's properly and perfectly representing God, then they're as worshipable as God.
But can't I learn just by listening and by...
This is learning. You have to learn.
Bowing down is learning?
Yes,
why?
You have to learn how to bow down.
But why should I bow down?
You should bow down because you don't want to. You have to bow down because you're subordinate. You show that you're subordinate, and you show your respect.
But can I show just by greeting him normally, like normal people are doing?
No, this is the system. This is the Vedic system.
But this is caring. This is an Indian thing. In the West, we are not doing that.
There's no such thing as West. The West came from the East. Otherwise, there was no West.
Well, nowadays, in our culture,
people always bow down. People in the West, you have the Pope bowing down and kissing the ground. You have people kissing his hand.
Yeah,
different ways.
That's religion. That's religion.
That's all right. You need to learn how to do this. Religion means this is what is God's requirement. So you should learn how to do things according to God's requirement and not according to Indian or West. This is not Indian. This is, you are a subordinate servant. You should learn how to bow down.
I want to say
everyone bows down. I bow down to my spiritual master. Others bow down to me.
Yes.
Others bow down to them, and so on. Evam parampara. Children should learn how to bow down to their parents first thing in the morning.
But okay. You said that we have the right to go to other communities if we feel that the community, the respective community is not so nice or things are wrong there. I saw a video in one country in which the initiates, they were not bowing down before their cult leader, before their so-called spiritual master.
Why do you keep using this word cult?
Because
you keep
I'm trying to understand what's a cult.
No, you're not understanding. You're already brainwashed, and you keep every second word is cult, cult, cult. And I'm telling you, we're not a cult, and I'm giving you proper answers.
If it disturbs you, I'll not use it.
Yeah, it disturbs me. Of course it disturbs me, because it's just like if you called me crazy, or you called me something else. Why wouldn't it disturb me?
Okay, I'll be more sensitive.
It's not a cult, it's International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
For you, it's International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
But up to now, you haven't defined one point or defended one point that actually defines us as a cult.
I'm not trying to define, I'm trying just to know your opinion on it.
Then stop using the word cult.
Okay.
That's already conclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not trying, you're already there, having made a decision that you're going to keep calling us a cult.
Okay, I will be more sensitive, I will not use it, but in one of your communities, I saw that during the initiation, the new members that were accepted in the Sampradaya, they were not bowing down before their spiritual masters, and they were behaving like normal people, just sitting on the chairs, and they were saying the vows, they were coming forward.
Where was this?
I will not say the name of the country, but they were given the beads, and the Guru was saying, okay, thank you very much for accepting the beads from me. And it was looking like a more civilized way of initiation without those
Why are you using these, you know what a prerogative term is that you always use words that immediately condemn. They're already conclusive. Why do you say that it's normal not to bow down? I say it's normal to bow down. Now, who's going to make the decision? Is it normal to bow down to your guru or not? Who's to decide? Why do you say it's normal?
Because in the school, we were not bowing down before our teachers.
We were standing up?
Yes.
So, is that normal?
Yeah, I can stand up before a spiritual master, but why should I bow down?
Why not? Because it's a sign of humility. Mm-hmm. You need to bow down just for this very reason. And we accept the standard that's there in Shastra. So in Shastra, we have examples of bowing down. So
what do I get from that?
Huh?
What do I get from that?
You get God's mercy. And you get the mercy of superior personalities. Because you're following the right way. You become empowered and you become enabled by bowing down. And the whole Kurukshetra war was lost because Duryodhana did not bow down before Bhishma Dev. And Yudhishthira Maharaj did bow down, so he won.
Wasn't it lost because Krishna was on the side of Yudhishthira?
That's also a factor, but I'm just telling you what Bhishma Dev said.
Okay.
So when you don't bow down, when you don't follow the system, Ashtaradana Purusha Dharmasya Parantapa Apapram Nanivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani, then you don't get perfection, you don't get the right result, and you take birth again in the world. Why? Ashtada, or not Ashtaradhana. Nashastra Vedimutsaja Vartate Kama Karata. So you want to ask whimsically. You do whatever you want. You stay sitting, but you don't get the result. Not only does the disciples not get the result, the guru doesn't get the result. Why? Because he's not doing what he's supposed to, which is teaching his students to bow down. So if a teacher doesn't teach a student what they're supposed to know, then what kind of a teacher is he? So, same thing. If a guru thinks, oh no, I don't want others to bow down, then you're not a guru. Then you're not qualified to be a guru, because you're not representing the Guru Parampara and you're not representing the Shastra.
The last one. Treating women, lesbians and gays as inferior untouchables and depriving them of equal rights. Do the lesbians and gays in ISKCON have the right to take initiation, for example?
If they follow the principles, of course. Why not? We let lusty people get initiation as long as they control their lust. So it doesn't matter whether you're, in other words, would we? We do. It's happening. It's going on.
And do the women have the equal rights with the men?
No.
Why not?
They have different rights.
Why not equal?
Huh?
Why not equal?
Because they're different. They're different than men. So they have the right to have children. Men don't have the right to have children. So there's difference, and that's part of the social structure. It doesn't make them inferior. Spiritually, they're equal. Women are weaker, men are stronger. It's just a biological issue. It's got nothing to do with spiritual advancement.
Can a woman become a teacher or a guru?
They are teachers, but they can't become an initiating guru, no.
Why?
Because it's not the tradition. Women are meant to be protected, which means that they should always be under the protection of the husband or son and so on. And a guru is someone who should travel and preach and be independent and be able to interact with disciples and so on. It's not the ideal situation, but women are guru, They're guru of their children, they're guru of so many other members of society, just in a different way.
But there were guru women in the past who were giving initiation in your tradition.
They were exceptional women. They were eternally liberated souls. So they can do. But it's even questionable whether they gave full initiation or just gave initiation into the holy name. But in any case, those level of women can do whatever they like. But we're talking about general conduct. So when it comes to general conduct, then no, it's not a practice. Maybe we should talk about that at another time.
Yeah, I have some more other issues about...
But you seem to be acting pretty unilateral over here, keeping 100 people here from their supper, just because you want to keep going on.
No, it's a rare opportunity, Swamiji, so I just wanted to invest my time in something wonderful, something beneficial.
This is the authority in this case. So, do you think that we've sort of addressed your concerns that, you know, ISKCON isn't a quote-unquote cult?
Do you want a reply from Rādhā Govinda Dāsa or from the seeker?
Or, cult or not, are you going to come back?
I'm going to come back, sure. But I have some issues with ISKCON, but I believe in you. I trust you. I see your example.
I suggest that you go to Bucharest and work with Rādhā Govinda. He's a very good, trustworthy person. He doesn't mislead his followers, but he will make you bow down.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji.
That will be a good place. You can feel comfortable over there. And they don't even have a school at present. There are only 1 or 2 devotees who have children.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. By the way, what's your name?
I'm Rādhā Govinda Dāsa, Anudasa.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Let's just down. Okay, well, your chances for asking questions just went out the door.
Just 2 words, Gurmaj. I tried my best to cover some issues and doubts that usually beginner devotees have, and maybe even older devotees have. Of course, we did not have enough time because I could generate some other questions, but at least in the frame of this topic of cults, I tried my best. I'm sure that if we would have more time, then Manjari Mataji and Nrsimha Krishna and Bhaktipat Goswami Maharaj, Keshava Priya would ask some other follow-ups. But at least that was the intention, to dissipate some doubts that I confronted in the beginning. Because, for example, in Bucharest, when devotees are joining, when they're seeing the announcement on Facebook or somewhere about the programs that we have at the center, the first thing that they're doing, they're going to the Google and they're searching, what is this ISKCON? And they are getting a whole list of issues. Many of them I tried to cover today, and I gave the possibility to Guru Maharaj to dissipate those doubts. So that was the history and the context why I asked those questions. And thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for this brilliant presentation and brilliantly replying to those doubts and questions.
Very, very helpful. I think it'll help the devotees. Thank you for bringing those up. It was a good choice. Made me forget my fever. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Śivarāma Swami Maharaj ki Rādhā Govinda Prabhu ki
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai.